What's going on, Philly fans? It's your boy, SalG, and another great week in Philadelphia sports. You're tuning in to another highlight reel episode of the Wraparound here on It's a Rap Network. Please make sure you throw us a like, follow the banner, share, and subscribe so we can get all this hotness out to your streams and you can help the algorithms work so we can get our shows to you and your family. That's what it's all about, getting this content out to everybody in the Philadelphia area and beyond. Why not? Get it to everybody in the world. Let's make it happen. Let's go global with It's a Rap Network. We're local, but we're trying to be global and we can make that happen with your guys' help, of course. But a great week in Philadelphia sports. And, let's not bury the lead here. We'll just get right into it. The Eagles win the NFC East and secure the 2 seed for the playoffs. So I know there was a sliver of hope that the Eagles had a chance to get that 1 seed, but a lot of things had to happen. The Packers needed to beat the Vikings. That didn't happen. The Vikings are for real, for real. They look like they're going to be tough. And Detroit needed to lose, and a lot of things that had to fall our way. And also in Week 18 then, which is a great matchup coming up, by the way. It's Sunday Night Football. I can't wait to watch that game. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Detroit Lions to determine who gets that number 1 seed in the playoffs. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a matchup. And I'm excited to watch that game. I wonder, though, who do you want to play? One of those teams is going to get the 1 seed, and the other one's going to get, the 3 seed, I guess. We're not the 3 seed, but 5th seed, because the non-division winners get a lower seed, and they also will not host a playoff game. So there's a chance that we get one of those games. Probably not, because it's going to be a 7th seed, I guess, which could be the Red Commanders. Commanders, I almost slipped. Could be the Commanders, and we'll get the Commanders at home. But if it came down to it, if you had to play Detroit or Minnesota, who would you rather face? Be it in the link at home or on the road? I think I'd rather play the Vikings, and if it had to be on the road, I want to play in Minnesota as opposed to Detroit. Now, I know they're both domes, but I think Minnesota's for real, but I think Detroit is a little bit better, and I think Detroit is going to secure that 1 seed Sunday night, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. But let's get into this Eagles game. The Eagles beat them Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Yeehaw! Woo! The Cowboys got sent packing out of Philadelphia. Tucked their tail between their legs and rode off into the sunset. The Eagles stomped the Dallas Cowboys 41-7. 41-7. You want to make a statement, Eagles? You did it. You did it. The Eagles were favored 7.5 points with Jalen Hurts being out. And that's with Kenny Broken Ribs Pickett playing. The Eagles were still favored by 7.5 points. Kenny, small hands, broken ribs, Pickett. Eagles are now 13-3. Clinch that NFC East. Get that 2nd seed. Dallas wanted to play spoiler. Micah Parsons was great at Penn State. And man, I would love to have that guy on this team. He is a stud player. He didn't get any sacks. He's 9.5 sacks this year. And he missed a handful of games. But all he needs is one more half a sack, and he'll have at least 10 sacks or more in the first 4 years of his career in the NFL. Guy's a beast. Guy's a stud. I want him on this team. Maybe that'll happen down the road, just like we got former Penn State players, Jahan Dotson and Saquon Barkley, Mr. 2,000 yards. Yeah, not only did the Eagles clinch the NFC East, but you had Saquon Barkley crack 2,000 yards rushing, just the ninth player in the history of the NFL. Mr. Saquon Barkley. 16 games, 2,000 yards. That's quite an accomplishment. Now has 2,005 rushing yards to be exact. That is exactly 100 yards behind career season rushing leader Eric Dickerson, who has 2,105. So Saquon just needs 101 yards to break the record next week. And the question is, do the Eagles, do the offensive line, the Saquon Barkley, going to go out there and do it? All they got to play is one big quarter. Saquon breaks off a long run against his former buddies there in New York, Jersey in quotes, and record is yours. As we're gonna jump back into that right now. We'll just recap the game here. So the Eagles, like I said, 7.5 favorites coming into the game, 12-3. They've lost one game since their bye week. One game since their bye in week 5. All right, so that's 1, 2. Well, they won 11 out of their 12 games. 11 out of 12. Pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. I know we wanted them to run the table, and we're like, let's have the Eagles just win out and go into the playoffs super hot. But maybe that loss to the Commanders is a blessing in disguise. Maybe it is, because there's a lot of things. The Eagles aren't a perfect team. They have some things they need to work on. And they need to work on those things to advance into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. The number one thing they need to do is work on their discipline. Work on their discipline. I'll jump into that. There's a lot I want to get to about the Eagles, and I know I'm about an hour show, but we'll see. We'll see how far we get, because I'm really going to dive into the Eagles here, and it might take up the whole hour of the show, but we'll see. Let's get into it here. So Kelly Green Day at the Link was 60 degrees. If you were at the ballpark, you had a hell of a time there. Beautiful weather. If I had tickets to that game, man, free tickets, because I can't pay for them. If I had some tickets to that game, I would have been there watching. Because there's one thing I can't stand is the damn cold. And a day like yesterday, that's like an April day. A day in April right there. So shout out to everybody at the game, man. You had a great time. Got to watch the Eagles clinch against the Cowboys. Kelly Green Day. Eagles are undefeated on Kelly Green Day, by the way. My favorite uniform ever. Rocking a Kelly Green player from back in the day. Reggie White, man. The Minister of Defense. Shout out. Rest in peace, brother. Kelly Green Day. Kelly Green Day sounds like a band. I'm sure there is a band called the Kelly Green Day. It's a Green Day cover bands, and they wear Kelly Green outfits, Kelly Green suits. Coming into the game, man, the Cowboys, no joke right now. I mean, they don't have no Dak Prescott. They didn't have CeeDee Lamb. But they were winning. They were 4-1 in their last 5. Cowboys are 4-1 in their last 5. So they weren't going to be a pushover. Cooper Rush is 9-4 as the Dallas starter in his career. So anytime he had to fill in for Dak Prescott, whether it's injury, just giving the guy a breather, whatever, Cooper Rush has played well. He's played admirably. Not a bad backup for Dallas there. Serious. He's not a bad player. And, we don't like Dallas. I'm not a fan at all. I respect the greatness they once had a long time ago. When was the last time Dallas won a championship? How many rings you got? When was the last time you won? Just chill out. Ease up, guys. Saquon Barkley coming into the game, we know he needed to average 134 yards in his next two games to break Eric Dickerson's record. Well, how about this, guys? Barkley only ran for 167 yards on 31 carries, over 5 yards a carry again. He's a monster. And his longest run was only 23 yards. So, I mean, the way this guy, every time he runs, right? He's not always going to break off 50, 60, 70-yard runs, even though he's done that a few times this year. But my man easily gets 5, 6, 7, 8, just churning, wearing down the defense. Talking about Saquon gets stronger as the game goes on. Whether that's the case or not, or he's just not tired while the rest of the defense is. However you want to phrase it, however you want to call it. Barkley is just a monster. Is he the most athletic, physically gifted with the athleticism, the speed? Because we know he has breakaway speed. The athleticism, the speed, and the strength, that combination of in a running back. Is he the best? I can't say he's the best running back in one season that the Eagles ever had, because we've had some great ones. So LaShawn McCoy comes to mind. He had a pretty good career with the Eagles, but he didn't have all those physical tools that Saquon did. He was a great player, no doubt about it. The way he can catch the ball, I mean, a stud. West Coast offense dream. Shady McCoy. There's Wilbert Montgomery, who was before my time, but I hear he was a hell of a running back. My father used to tell me stories all the time that every play was, Mel Reese would say, and the handoff's to Montgomery, and it's to Montgomery. Montgomery runs it up the middle. Montgomery run. It was always Montgomery. But man, I don't know. My buddy Chris was bringing this up yesterday when I was doing the post-game show. Is Barkley the best running back we ever had? Can't say that, but physically, just the total package of Saquon Barkley physically. Remember the strength. He can squat several hundred pounds. The speed. He could break away 70-yard runs with the best of them. Still doing it at 27 years old. Been in the league now several years. And it's just the athleticism, the way he cuts, the way he jukes, all these moves that he has. He's not just a, one cut and go guy. I mean, the guy can he's Barry Sanders-ish. Barry didn't have the strength. Barry was elusive. Barry had speed. Barry couldn't, as much as I love Barry, and I think we could say Barry's the greatest running back of all time, but Barry doesn't have all the physical attributes that Saquon does. Now, maybe if, Barry was playing in today's NFL, you'd have access to better, training, nutrition, all that stuff. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But Barkley is a stud, man. He's a stud, and I want him to be healthy for the playoffs, and I'm all about running them into the ground. And I mean that with all due respect. Run them into the ground to win that championship. Run them down their throats, the opponent's throats. Just keep doing it. And I'm a little nervous about, him playing a meaningless game next week. Now, it's not meaningless to him. If it's not meaningless to the offensive line and the team, they want to go for it, go for it. Because you could remember last week's game, Saquon had 109 rushing in one quarter. So he needs 101. Yeah, he could get that in a half, no problem, if not the first quarter. And you never know, the Giants might lay down. I don't know how hyped the Giants are going to be. They won this past week. You're talking about an inept organization. I mean, this team had the first overall pick locked down. Now they're like down the fourth. I mean, what are they doing? They had a chance for Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Oh, my God. I don't know. You know what? I don't care. I don't care about that. I just want it just boggles my mind. But they came off that win against the Colts, and the Colts stink. But it was not supposed to be a shootout, blowout, a game like that where Drew Lock's thrown 4 touchdown passes. Well, it's supposed to be like that at all, and they won. So I think they're going to be so high off that win. I'm not going to say they're going to just lay down because it's their friend, but I just don't think the Giants get up for this game because what is the incentive? I think they want to lose. They might play all their backups. And then that's a good excuse too. From a rebuilding team, you say we're playing our backups to see what we have going into next year. So we play these guys and see what we get, if we get anything. And you say evaluation. So that might be what it is. And the Giants have to come to Philly. And, it's a meaningless game for Philly, but Jalen Hurts didn't play this past week because of his concussion. He didn't practice at all. Was not cleared for practice. So, and the previous game, he only played 11 snaps. So if Hurts doesn't play next week, you're pretty much looking at 3 weeks of Hurts not having any live game action. And that's very important. Now you're going to the playoffs. And we're going to make the excuses. Well, if Hurts would have played, we would have won. If we end up losing in the first round, look, let Hurts let him play. Let him try and get the record for the half, if not the quarter. Just try and do it. You play Hurts, get him some reps. All right, you play Barkley, you play that offensive line. They try and go for it. I'm about it. Do it. You can't say, what if he gets hurt? Oh, what if he gets hurt? What if he got hurt in this past game just going for 2,000 yards? Where everybody going to be pissed about that? You can't play scared. And I'm not saying he's going to play the whole game. I say play enough. You got excuses that the Eagles can make, organization. We want Hurts to get reps. We want the offensive line to play a little bit together with Hurts. We want to go into the playoffs with some momentum, with some synchronicity, playing as a team again. It's been a while. So I think they do play. They play the half, then they pull the guys because the Eagles are going to have a good enough. They don't have to win the game, but they get Saquon the record. Everybody comes out, I bet, after that. Hurts is in there for a handful of snaps, throws a couple YOLO balls. All's right in the world. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Before I go into some more Eagles to talk here, shout out to Penn State University playing in the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow night, New Year's Eve, in Glendale, Arizona, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time against the Boise State Broncos. They are the number 9 team. Oh, shoot. I should notice. Penn State, that was favored by 11. 11 in the game. I'm hyped, man. I can't wait to have that on. Boise State's ranked 9th. Penn State's 4th. Over under 53.5. Say Boise getting 11. So like Penn State to win that game and advance and probably have to play Oregon or something like that and then get their butts kicked. But I say it's a win for Penn State, but let's go. Let's go, guys. Let's go, Lions. We are, baby. All right. The Eagles. Some more Eagles talk. Kenny Pickett, 14-10 career as a starter coming into the game here. And he did enough to win the game. And you know what? Shout out to Kenny, small hands, broken ribs. Pickett, because they mentioned his ribs were jacked up. He was wearing a flak jacket. That was evident on TV. But I didn't realize they were broken. And, smart for the team and smart for Pickett to not say they were broken because guys were taking shots. And they sure as hell were, because on one drive for the Eagles, before Pickett got knocked out of the game, he got laid out twice. And he was on his hands and knees. And could you imagine playing with broken ribs and you got some guy 250 just laying into you as hard as they could? Micah Parsons drilling you. The other guy with the unsportsmanlike penalty. I mean, if they knew, they probably had an idea. They knew he was hurt, right? That when a player's hurt, I'm not surprised as far as gamesmanship that the teams, if they knew you got an ankle problem, when you're in the pile, they're going to chew on your ankle, they're going to twist it, they're going to grab it. They do stuff like that. Whether you call it dirty or not, I'm sure they all do it. And it's a way to have an advantage. And if an opponent has a physical weakness on the field, you're going to do everything you can to try and exploit that. And Dallas laid in the Pickett pretty good. And a couple of those plays, no shot out to the refs, by the way. The refs had several calls against the Cowboys that were not called, a couple unsportsmanlikes that were not called and should have been called. A couple other penalties that weren't called, neutral zone infractions weren't called. And, luckily it didn't matter. It didn't have no outcome on this game because the Eagles just mauled the Cowboys. But man, if it was a close game and we lost, oh, you'd be talking about the refs in this game. So give Pickett credit for the broken ribs, man. I got to shout out to him. I wasn't impressed with him in his last game, but what do you want? Just coming in, he wasn't expecting to play probably. Play selection wasn't probably geared up for him. But Kenny Pickett, man, from central New Jersey, about 80 miles away from the link. Die-hard Eagles fan his whole life. Had friends and family come out to see him. Played tough. The players loved that, man. They had it back. Everybody was talking him up, saying how good of a job Kenny did for the team, playing in the past 2 weeks, especially yesterday with the win. And it was just, it was nice to see. It's a shame Pickett got knocked out of the game. Now, the last thing I want to do is see Ian Book play. Is it Ian or Ian? Ever since there's an Ian Eagle on TV, I get that the name IAN has always meant Ian to me, except until Ian Eagle came into the picture, and he goes by Ian. So he wants to be the cool hipster guy. I got to call. I don't know if it's Ian or Ian Book now. It could be Ian. I'll just say Ian for now. Ian Book, practice squad guy that the Eagles signed to be the emergency quarterback. We had Tanner McKee get action after Pickett got laid out. But, you're kind of nervous because Hurts, you don't know if he's going to be ready next week. You hope he is. Damn sure hope he's ready for the playoffs. But if Kenny Pickett's got broken ribs, I mean, how can you expect him to go out there again? It should be a Tanner McKee game for the most part next week. Tanner McKee, man, 6'6", 231 pounds. I mean, that's what you want to see in a quarterback. And you know how he did? It is the third in relief of Pickett. Just 3 for 4 for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns with like a perfect passer rating in the game. Greatest passer rating of the season. He had 4 passes, but I mean, he didn't do bad with them. He did what he was supposed to do. So between Pickett and McKee, you got 13 of 19 for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. No picks, no fumbles. So shout out, guys. You did your job. You did what you're supposed to do. You helped the team win, man. And that's all we can ask for. So you got to love that, man. Guys rally around that, man. When these bench guys, you know what? A.J. Brown, man. Tanner McKee throws his first career touchdown to A.J. Brown. And what does A.J. Brown do? He just sails it up into the stands. And he just says, F that ball. And then he realizes how did you not know, man? It was the dude's first touchdown. You didn't know that? I guess McKee's been around for a bit, but that was funny, man. And A.J. Brown had to beg and plead with the fan to give back the ball so he can give it to Tanner McKee, begging him. And he said, I'll sign my jersey for you. I'll sign it, and I'll give it to you after the game. And he made good on his word. Shout out to A.J. Brown giving the jersey to that fan, signed, autographed, game-used jersey in exchange for that Tanner McKee ball you threw up into the stands there. But A.J. Brown got himself a touchdown. Devontae Smith had a game, comeback game for Devontae Smith, 2 touchdowns. He said, forget about that drop last week. I'm making up for it. Great game by him. Saquon Barkley with the game. Devontae Smith, 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. Grant Calcaterra with that great one catch, but it was a great catch that extended the drive and led to an Eagles touchdown. It was a one-handed highlight reel catch. Check that out, Eagles fans. If you didn't see it, that's the catch of the week. And then A.J. Brown's catch, or no catch, in the end zone because he was out of the bounds. That was a one-handed catch a la Odell Beckham, and that was pretty good. So that might be the second best catch of the week, non-catch. That was a good move, good play. Man, the Birds, right off Dallas's first drive, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Welcome back, buddy. We missed you last week. We could have used you. If we had C.J. last week, we would have won that game. I guarantee if Chauncey was playing, we would have won against the Commanders. So CJ, GJ with the pick six. It was a pick six. Put the Eagles on the board 7-0, the first defensive touchdown for Philadelphia this year. Can you believe it? As great as this defense have been, as many turnovers we'd be getting. We have 9 turnovers in the past 2 games. So many turnovers, you think we got a bakery up in here, huh? Dallas second drive. Dallas comes right back to score. He had some dumb penalties. Darius Slay, who I wonder, he's got 1 more year left on his deal, but are they going to bring him back? Will they do it? You know, they'll probably ride it out or put DeJean, you know, on, instead of being the slot corner, put him as a, you know, outside corner. We'll see if that happens or not. I think they like DeJean in that spot, so we'll see. Nolan Smith had a penalty, but you had Cooper Rush is pretty much best play of the game. His only play of the game was corner end zone pass and catch for Jalen Tolbert with a touchdown, tied the game at 7-7. And after that first quarter, I noticed, I was like, hey, the Eagles are, or the Dallas is able to move the ball. They're able to run it with Rico Dowdle, who's a 1,000-yard running back. And they're able to move the ball around via the pass of Brandon Cooks, Tolbert, and there's no CeeDee Lamb. So I was a little, once that game was tied and I saw the way the ball was able to be moved, I thought it wasn't going to be an easy game. I thought it was going to be a back and forth shootout matchup for real. But Philadelphia, on their actual first drive where Kenny Pickett touched the ball, they punted. But Dallas got away with a face mask penalty and illegal contact on the last 2 plays. That was 2 no calls by the refs. And again, if this game cost us, you could go back to the refs and say, what the hell? You know, we should have won that game. But the Eagles, without Jalen Hurts, are 4-11-1 coming into the game. Jalen Hurts is 46-20. So Jalen Hurts means a lot to this Eagles team and to the success of this team. And when he's on the field, the Eagles win. Simple as that. Philadelphia's third drive. Grant Calcaterra, this is the drive where Calcaterra had that circus catch of the week. Devontae Smith with his touchdown makes up for last week's drop. And that pass was a beautiful pass by Kenny Pickett to the end zone corner. It was a 22-yard pass with 6:38 left in the second quarter. And we had a fumble then in the second quarter on Dallas's next drive. Owen Burks caused the fumble? Jordan Davis recovered the ball, the fumble there. Again, we had four turnovers by Dallas in this game. And when you have that many turnovers that you're able to recover, you should win. You know, you had 5 against the Commanders last week and you didn't win that game. To me, that's an anomaly. I mean, you should have won. It's crazy. You should have won that game last week, Bennett. Anyway, moving on. Philadelphia's fourth drive. We have another score. Jake Elliott. All right, he's showing back up. 31-yard field goal. Makes it a 17-7 lead. And then we had a YOLO ball to Devontae. Oh, wait a second. Before that, on Dallas's next drive, after that field goal, Gardner-Johnson has his second interception of the day. He robs his own teammate, Quinyon Mitchell. He says, nah, man, I'm making this pick. I didn't play last week. 2 interceptions for Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, man, we missed you. Welcome back, bro. And then the next drive, Philly, the YOLO from Pickett to Devontae Smith, 49-yard catch, just missed the touchdown. Devontae Smith was ruled to hit the ground, but nevertheless, Pickett goes for a tush push, doesn't get it. And then he go for another tush push, and then he gets it. So we can still do the tushy pushy, as Tony Romo likes to say, with or without Jalen Hurts, and that's nice to see. So Eagles are now up 24-7, and the route is on. And that's just the end of the second quarter, 24-7, 17 points in the second quarter just in that, I was going to say period, in that quarter alone. I covered too many sports. 3 turnovers by Dallas in that half. Cooper Rush, 11-19, 102 yards, 1 carry for 2 yards. Kenny Pickett, 9 for 14 for a $133 with a tutty, and he had 3 carries for 3 yards and a touchdown. The sneak attack there, the tush push. Rico Dowdle had 12 carries, 43 yards, and 1 catch for 4 yards. And Saquon Barkley, this is the first half stats now, 13 carries for 40 yards. So that's just over 3 yards a carry. Not particularly good. 2 catches for 2 yards. Again, doesn't look like he's going to have a good game. In Barkley's last game against Dallas, he only had like 80 scrimmage yards, I believe. They were able to bottle him up pretty good. Brandon Cooks was the leading receiver for Dallas at the half with 4 catches for 52 yards. Devontae Smith having himself a half, 3 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Then we go on to the second half here. This is where Pickett gets knocked out of the game, and then Tanner McKee had to come in. Took his first career NFL snap, made his first career completion, got himself his first career touchdown. Another field goal by Elliott puts the Eagles up 27-7. And Dallas has a lot of punts on these drives here. On the Eagles' 7th drive, Barkley goes over 100 yards rushing at that point, and then it was official that Pickett had to leave the game. He was in street clothes, but he ended up coming back dressed in uniform. Turns out he was just the emergency quarterback. They were never planning to put him back in, but in case something happened to McKee, God forbid, because we're losing quarterbacks left and right, that Kenny would have went back in. So McKee throws an end zone pass to AJ. He makes the catch, but was out of bounds. That was that one-handed catch, Odell Beckham style, that he missed. But then next, during that drive, A.J. Brown gets the touchdown, 20-yard pass from McKee, throws the ball into the stands for a fan to catch, and then begs and pleads with the fan to get that ball back. Philadelphia's up 34-7. Are you loving this route or not? Oh, my goodness, what a whooping. And then Dallas. Oh, then CJ got hurt, but I believe he came back. Never heard anything about him being messed up. But another turnover for Dallas. Cooper DeJean recovers the ball. Nolan Smith knocked it out. He had a hell of a game, Nolan Smith, in this one. And then just realizing that Barkley is so good with the way he jukes, bounces, cuts. It was just observations I wrote down during the second half alone. Gets the 2,000 yards mark rushing. Sirianni calls a timeout. Allows the teammates to acknowledge Saquon. Saquon's on the field. They probably put something up on the big screen. Fans going nuts. Saquon getting his props. It was great to see. Beautiful. If Saquon doesn't do anything more this year, the fact that he just got to 2,000 yards, being the 9th player in NFL history, that's right. The NFL has been here a long-ass time. And Barkley got 2,000 yards rushing. Devontae Smith got his second touchdown of the game, 25-yard catch, put the Eagles up 41-7. And then that was the final. And we had Brandon Aubrey missed himself a 61-yard field goal, hit the post. That was really loud, too. And then this is where I'm going to get concerned, guys. And man, I'm really chewing up clock here talking about the Eagles, but we had some more unsportsmanlike penalties in this game. I believe Jalen Carter had another one called on him. I didn't see it during the game. I don't know how I missed it, but then I heard talk of it post-game shows and all. But Jalen Carter had one. And, him and Sirianni, they showed then video of them, slapping hands or whatever on the sideline, giving each other hugs. But Sidney Brown got ejected from the game. It was unsportsmanlike. They were like in the tunnel. This was after a punt. Sidney Brown for the Eagles, and then Trey Pride and Jalen Brooks for Dallas got ejected. So the Eagles went on the power play. No power play in football. But, I don't think you usually see undisciplined teams win Super Bowls. As somebody knows of a team who led the league in penalties or unsportsmanlike calls and things like that. I'm not saying that's what the Eagles have, but there is a discipline issue. with this team, and it starts and ends with Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni, I don't know what it is. You know, I don't love Nick. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's great. And look, there's a lot of arguments to be said about Nick being a great coach. 4 seasons in the league, he has 47 wins. That's the second most in the NFL history next to George Seifert. And for all you old heads out there, you know who George Seifert was. He took over for Bill Walsh in San Francisco when they had Joe Montana there. Joe Montana was the quarterback, was the best quarterback in football at that time. And you had Joe Montana. George Seifert was coaching him. Now, he took over Bill Walsh's team, and he was there for several years. He also had Steve Young, who was pretty damn good, too. He made the Hall of Fame. He had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Now, Nick Sirianni, he's got some great talent on this team. You know, are we winning in spite of Nick and what he does? But I think Nick, I'm going back to Nick here for a second. Is he, is he a little, has he got a chip on his shoulder, or is he insecure about something? Because my man Nick, it's multiple instances this year, and you don't usually see this from a coach. He's chirping with the home fans. That's right. He was chirping with the Eagles fans weeks ago. I believe it was coming right out of the bye when the Eagles ended up winning the game, and he was just jawing at the Eagles fans and being like, "Yeah, what did you say about me?" Like, I don't know, like baby stuff, right? And then last week, they lost to the Commanders. You lost, and you're going to act tough with former Eagle Zach Ertz. You're going to chirp on the field to Zach Ertz and say, "Good game, but you didn't do much to win the game." That was supposedly what was said. And Zach didn't take kindly to those comments, nor should he. Zach Ertz is a legend in Philadelphia. Well, I might be stretching it a bit, but Zach Ertz was beloved as a player here. But this Sirianni acting tough and this hard ass thing that he's doing, and this chip on his shoulder, this insecurity, I think that rubs off on the players in a way, because if you see your boss acting a fool and starting shit with the opposing team's players and your home team's fans, I don't know, is that a good look? If you don't win the Super Bowl and you get trounced, you're going to look pretty stupid talking shit to people all the time. Now, you could talk shit if you win games and you win the Super Bowl. Like Bill Belichick, he could talk shit. He's got a pass to talk as much shit as he wants. Andy Reid, who doesn't talk shit, could talk as much shit as he wants. He's got the Super Bowls. I don't know. I just think Nick's overstepping a bit. I think it's a bad look. If you want your players to be disciplined, I think it starts with you, and you have to be a good example for these guys. And you Big Dom ain't always going to have your back, bro. You can talk tough, act hard when you're on the field to 280-pound Zach Ertz, who would kick your ass if you were in a parking lot. But you got Big Dom with you. I don't know what it is, man. But then you hear about Nick having to smooth it out over a Zoom call with Zach Ertz. I mean, I don't like that stuff. I don't like that stuff. And if you don't win at all, I think that shit comes back to haunt you, personally. I do. Check some of you guys out here. We got comments. Show some love for your boy. Throw up a like, share, and subscribe. We got some good Phillies. I've been saying Phillies all the time, bro. Heath Sherman was the best running back. All right, Fury. I see what you're saying there. Okay, buddy. All right. Thanks, brother. I love this shirt too. There's one of Randall I saw too. It's like Ultimate Weapon. I got to get me that one. Cool shirt. Congrats on the fantasy championship. That's right. I sweated out a fantasy football championship yesterday. And shout out to everybody who's won a championship or has tonight's game left to decide if you're the champion. If you made it this far, good for you. I salute you. But yeah, I won a championship and I was sweating it out. I can't talk. I can't talk shit. I hate that, dude. I can't talk. I get nervous. And I swear to God, fantasy football has probably ruined my enjoyment of football because I just, there's nothing worse on a Sunday night getting smoked on a team that you have and you care about, and then you realize you smoked and you got to get up and wake up and go to work the next day. I mean, this is Sunday night. That blows. It really does. My man Noom, Steve in the house. What's up, brother? Bricked up for the birds, boy. Cooper Rush may want to learn how to read cover one robber. Hey, I mean, outside of their first drive, he did not have a good game. And Steve saying Andrew Booth may want to learn how to pass off a slot corner route and banjo and a smash route on a trips far concept. Looked way too much like the Eagles DBs down the stretch last year. Yeah, man. I got to say, Kenny P, man, Kenny Pickett, Pickett gets the gold star for starting with broken ribs. That was really the story for me. Yeah, man, and just you have a third string quarterback. Now, my understanding is there's talk now that just because these guys are getting their auditions, Tanner McKee could be a hot commodity because he's younger. I mean, he's got the physical build in a quarterback that you want. That height of 6'6" and 231. You can't teach something like that. I personally would rather move Pickett, but I think they're gonna move either Pickett or Tanner McKee next year. And I hope it's Pickett, but you're going to get more for McKee because he has 2 more years of control. Saquon has 40 more all-purpose yards and 12 fewer fumbles than Eric Dickerson's record year. Wow, Eric Dickerson, a fumbling machine, huh? Speaking of Eric Dickerson, though, I kind of want Saquon to go for the record, too, because Dickerson is being his namesake. He's being a dick right now. Gee, I don't know if anybody heard, but he's like, I don't want him to beat my record. I don't want nobody to beat my record. I did it in blah, blah, blah games. But you know what? Dickerson did it in 16 games. True. But he beat OJ's record, which was in 14 games. Okay. And if Saquon does it, yeah, it's in 17 games. And you know what? Somebody's going to come along one day when the NFL goes to 18 games. And who knows? They might go to 20 games one day. But when at 18 games, somebody's going to beat that record too. And you know what? Records are meant to be broken. Stop being a baby about it. You know, Dickerson, son of Dicker. That's what Eric is, son of Dicker. And you know what? If your name was Dicker growing up, I feel sorry for you, man. But you know what? I don't like Eric Dickerson saying that. And part of me is just saying I want Saquon to go out there just to say, screw you, Eric Dickerson. Screw you, Giants. Screw everybody else. The Pico Power Play. All right, we'll be getting out of hockey soon, man. But Joel Farabee, 2 games in a row with a goal. Are the Flyers playing right now? I knew the Sixers were. What am I missing here? Are they playing? No, they're not playing. What are we doing? What are we talking about? Joel Farabee, 2 games in a row with a goal. I had to check the news to make sure the world wasn't coming to an end. It might be, Steve. If it was Y2K, I'd be worried about it. Nooms, Jalen Carter has been an instigator since high school and then taking dives afterwards. It finally worked yesterday. Oh, we got to get in this hockey stuff, Sal. Chris, Sal. I just said my own name. Oh, my goodness. Chris saying Mishkov off the schneid, goal and assist last night. Yeah, that was good to see. We needed that from mighty Mishkov. Barbara, how are you? Says, hi, Sal. I was so bad at fantasy that I don't even play anymore. You know what? I'm so bad at fantasy, and I still play. I only play because it keeps me connected with a lot of guys I knew for 20 plus years now. It's crazy to think about it. A lot of these guys I knew since I was like 18, and I'm old. I'm old now. Saquon is 202 yards from Falk's all-purpose yards record. Was it Falk that had that record, or are you talking about just one record to be broken, Steve? Because I thought Chris Johnson had the all-purpose record, if I wasn't mistaken. But I know you know your stuff, so I trust you there, bro. The offense ran pretty well yesterday with different quarterbacks, says Barbara, and they didn't hold the ball forever, and the push play still worked. Yeah, Barbara, shout out to both Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett. You know, uh, they did what they were supposed to do. With another week of practice and a full week of practice with the starters and things like that, I'm sure that helped in having plays specifically for those guys' strengths. But yeah, tush push, Kenny Pickett was still doing. I mean, he did it with broken ribs, man. I did not think he'd be doing tush pushes if he had broken ribs. So that dude, Philly legend right now. If we win the Super Bowl, could you imagine if, knock on linoleum, if something happened, if Hurts isn't ready and he can't play in the playoffs, and you got Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee leading you to another Super Bowl, just like another backup quarterback Nick Foles did? Could you imagine if that script played out the same way again? That would be wild, man. It would be super wild. Well, all right, so we're going to wrap the Eagles talk up here. Play the Giants next week, Sunday, January 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, at home. Come on, Saquon. 101 yards, Nick. Let him go. Let him go for it. What the hell? Let Jalen play a half. Let the starters play a half, the linemen, and get that record. And win or lose, it don't matter. We go into the playoffs, at least, playing as a first-team offense before going in. Because 3 weeks without Jalen playing, I'm a little nervous about that, to be honest. So let's have that happen. All right, Flyers. Fly till you die, baby. The Flyers it's, one day they win, one day they lose, one day they win, next day they lose. And that's just the story of this team. They are a 500 club at the Hockey 500 club. They're 16, 17, and 4, a game under Hockey 500 right now. But they still could make the playoffs as a late seed. Expectations for the team, nada, zero, zip. We got a lot of shit to sort out, friends, with this team. They lost to the Kings last night, 5-4. All right. The Flyers were leading after the second period. They actually had a positive second period. They were leading 4-3. And it was the 7th straight home win for the Kings. I mean, they are a damn good team. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Kings, after that win, are 21-10-5. They're pretty damn good. They're a good team. Great players on their team. It's tough. It's tough playing in Los Angeles against that squad. I got it. But Mishkov, like my band Chris was saying, had a goal and assist after being benched in the third period Saturday night. And he ended his 7-game point drought. They get to play San Jose tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, another road game still on the West Coast there. But over the past week, the Flyers are 1-2. And over their last 5 games, they are 2-3. So it just seems like until they got a lot of stuff straightened out, you're going to see, just sprinkled wins and losses here and there. I mean, the power play sucks. It sucked for 4 years now. Penalty kill has got to get better. It was good. Now it's like dog crap right now. The goaltending, I don't even know where we're going with the goaltending here. Urson had himself a game the other night against a good squad. They won 3-1 against Anaheim. Well, let me not backtrack here. Did I say Anaheim is good? I want to double check because I could be wrong. All right, Anaheim's not good. But still, Urson gave up 1 goal, and Urson was looking pretty shifty ever since he came back from his injury. And you're wondering, is it, lingering effects of the injury? Is there something else going on with Urson? Is he just not that darn good? Does he just suck? Is he just the number 2 goalie at best, which I'm still leaning that he is? But Kolosov gave up 5 goals. He only faced 20 shots. He gave up 5 goals on 20 shots. Holy shit. What in the hell is going on here, guys? Look, it's not all Kolosov's fault. The defense stinks too. That's another thing. We need a 1D. 1C, you need a center that can play defense too, obviously, right? A two-way center, a stud. We don't have that. So, I what can I say about this team? I love watching them. I do post-game shows for them. I enjoy them. They do fight to the end. There's no quit in this team. But man, it's just with that second period, minus 18 differential. And they had a positive with the game against LA. They were up, but normally they're just in the hole and they go in the third period chasing goals. And that is not a fun way to live, friends. That is a dangerous way to survive. It's highly stressful. You want to have the lead against the team going into the third. You don't want to be chasing, always dumping and chasing, chipping and chasing, pulling the goalie out, empty netters. That's not a fun way to live. You want to score 4 goals. Ideally, you want to score 4 goals every night and keep the other team from getting the 4, and you win. Sounds sounds simple, but this team just doesn't have what it needs. It just doesn't have it yet. And I heard Keith Jones in an interview last week. He even said they're not going for it. It doesn't matter if they're playing well. They're not going to buy anything. Now, you never know. It could just be GM speak. He's being coy. He's being slick. But what are they going to trade? They're going to trade players for picks. That's what they're going to do. Or bundle picks to move up into the draft. They're not good. This doesn't make any sense to. What are you going to trade? Who are you going to trade? A stud? You're going to trade. You're not going to trade Mitchkov. No. You're going to trade Konechny? No. No. You're not. You're going to trade Rasmus Ristolainen and hope you get a high draft pick for. You're going to trade some of the other guys, maybe Farabee, Tyson Forrester. He's been playing better as of late. So I like what I'm seeing from him. The Flyers have hopes for him. Teams have been asking around on Forrester, and the Flyers are saying, nope, we're not going to move him. So that's good. We got some stuff. We just don't have the top guys, and I think eventually we will get them. But it's eventually. Not now. All right, let me see what we got here. All right, still talking back to Eagles here. Barbara saying AJ seemed happy with the quarterbacks, that's for sure. Yeah, and then Knucklehead threw a ball into the stands. It was Tanner McKee's first ball. But shout out AJ Brown. He did the right thing. We'll be getting into them too, Steve. Sal, your team, your town, your 76ers have stabilized. They looking good, man. I'm digging the Phantom of the Opera. And then Barbara, just saying what I'm fearing. God forbid if Hurts doesn't play in the playoffs, he'll be gone soon if that happens. He's going to play. I'm just throwing the worst, the devils of all, the advocates of all devils out there, whatever. Anze Kopitar is Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's a stud, man. How long he's been playing, and he's still awesome. Steve saying, good old days when Flyers used to be in either Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton for New Year's Eve. I remember we won 8-1 one year in Vancouver. Was that the 80s, Steve? Because 8 goals, you don't see that too often nowadays. Steve saying the problem is your boy Tony Dick needs to be back up here. He does need to be back up here. God damn it. Call him up. Call up Tony Dick. Now, you know what? Once they make some trades, Tony will be back up here. That's Anthony Richard for all you guys out there. Oh, Barbara, I know you're the biggest Flyers fan on here. Well, you know what? You're tied with Chris Fury. I can't. I'm sorry about that. I know Chris is a really big fan. You and Chris might be tied. Sal, the Flyers goalies are the Three Stooges. 5 goals against the game. It's hard to watch. It is, and I'm sorry you have to watch it, and you're tortured through it. I don't know if the starting number one goalie is on this team. Urson's the best of the bunch, and yeah, I don't know. And you know what, Steve? Thank goodness we're not the Rangers, because the Flyers do need to take advantage of the Rangers' misfortune and suckitude. That's the way I see it. And Chris saying, great to see quitter Gauthier not do anything versus the Flyers. Yeah, F that guy. You don't want to play for us. Hashtag horrible for Higgins. That would be James Higgins, the projected number one pick in the NHL draft. Unfortunately, Chris, are the Flyers going to be bad enough to get him? It's a lottery, right? It's a lottery like the NBA, but your chances, I guess, increase the more shitty you are. So, and that's it for the Flyers. Let's get into some Sixers talk. Sixers! That's right. Your team, your town. The Sixers. Guess what, guys? 3-game win streak entering tonight's game with the Blazers. That's on tonight. They're playing in Portland, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Portland Trailblazers stink. So that could be 4 in a row. I don't want to jinx it. I don't like doing that, but Portland stinks. 11-20 on the season. I'm not worried about Portland. Embiid should be playing because it wasn't a back-to-back. I make sure I'm not talking out my butt here. It's not. It's not a back-to-back. So the Phantom of the Opera, Joel Embiid, should be playing. Is a 9th win in 12 games for the Sixers. So yeah, they're hot right now with everybody playing. And you know what? It's a damn shame that the rookie McCain is out for the season, if not the season, most of it. I'm pretty sure he had season-ending surgery. I don't know why I didn't see anything on that. Maybe I'm just a knucklehead here. You know what? They haven't confirmed him being out for this season. It's just extended period. Maybe he comes back if they make the playoffs, and that would be, a nice bonus there. But the Sixers, I mean, doing awesome. Oh, now I'm seeing Joel Embiid's got a foot injury. Uh-oh. I hope he's playing tonight. I hope that's like a questionable thing. I didn't know anything about a foot injury. That's new. Great. And Andre Drummond says toe. So I hope he's playing. Now we don't have no center. But as bad as the going back to the game here, as bad as the Portland Blazers are, they are looking for their 3rd straight win. So they're a little bit. They have a streak of their own going here. But if Embiid plays tonight, and now it looks like I don't know if he's playing. Now I got to look. Now I got to see real time here. I don't know when lineups have to come out in a late game like this. He's questionable to face Portland. Foot/sinus fracture. So I don't know. Foot sprain. I don't know anything about that. I missed that because I wouldn't have known. Foot sprain for Embiid. So he was supposed to play. If he plays, it's 4 games in a row for Embiid for the first time this season. And we desperately need him to be on the court healthy. If the Sixers have any chance of making any type of run, they're still below 500. They're 12-17. It's 11th in the East. So, yeah, they've been doing well lately. But Paul George doesn't seem to be the offensive dynamo we signed him to be. I mean, he's playing good defense. But where's that offense at? We paid max money for. Tyrese Maxey's a stud, no doubt about that. But if Embiid can't be on the court with him, and Paul George isn't giving you any offense, you can't expect Maxey to be the guy every single game. It's not going to work like that. It's not going to work. 3-0 the past week for the Sixers. Like I said, that's their win streak, and they're 4-1 over their last 5 games. So they're looking pretty darn good. Now, fingers crossed that Joel Embiid plays, because now I'm nervous that he's not, because he's got a foot. And of course, everybody's got a foot. Some got 2 of them. But Embiid and Maxey, 32 points in yesterday or the Saturday night's game against the Utah Jazz, who absolutely stink. They're 7-23 now that they lost. But Embiid and Maxey both had 32 points. Paul George had 13 points. He was 4 of 11 from the field. That ain't good, guys. 2 for 5 from three-point land. That's okay, 400. 40%, I'll take that. And free throws, 3 for 5. But man, you won that game by 3 points, man. Skin of your teeth. So I know it's a win, and we need every win you can get right now. And it don't matter if you win by 1 or win by 30. You got to win these games. Unfortunately, I'm still going to stick to a stat I saw when the Sixers were back at 3-13, and 3-13, 3-13 teams in the history of the NBA at best, if they make the playoffs, get bounced in the first round. I hope that maybe it's a different situation here. Maybe it is. But the only way we're not going to get bounced in the first round is if Joel Embiid's healthy for the playoffs, Maxi's healthy, George gives you more offense than you're getting now, and maybe you get McCain back. And maybe the Sixers bring in a guy or two. Maybe there is a stud guy. Who could it be? I don't know. What are you going to trade for him? Sixers got picks. The one guy I don't want him to trade, please don't trade McCain. Please, 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 please. Is it possible they do stupid enough to play him? Say McCain's out for the year. Could it be that the Sixers are like they're so vested with Embiid and George and this move to Chinatown that nobody wants at the new stadium that they just say F it and they go ahead and trade McCain to bring in some guy who was good at one point, or I don't know. I'm worried they're going to goof it up. I'm really worried they will. So we'll see. Steve saying shame KJ Martin has a stress fracture. He was just finding his place on his team. Oh man, that does suck. If Sixers can make the second round, they can get McCain back. So you think, okay, Steve, so you think that's the earliest he can come back, right? Would be May. Is that right? Second round even, not even be available for the first. Sixers going for 4 in a row. Yeah, that's right. I thought I said that. Okay, foot sprain for Embiid is very minor, but they don't need to win they don't need Joe to win tonight. Okay. They don't, but maybe he can give you limited minutes. I don't know. Yes, Paul George's defense is still elite. His shooting is inconsistent, but it's important to know he came back from the bone bruise early. All right, so he's just say he's just getting his groove on, and eventually he figures it all out. And if that's the case, we're certainly going to be in a better position. All right, Steve. You quell my fears here. McCain will not get traded. I'm cool with that. I hope so. Earliest is March, but I think May is more likely. That's what I was thinking too. May at the earliest. So if the Sixers make the playoffs, maybe they get surprise McCain back. But all right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up. You know what? I don't know. There's nothing new to report on the Phillies front. Well, I'll just mention they signed some arms to minor league deals. I don't know if I mentioned in my last week's show, but they did sign Joe Ross to be a swingman type of player. Think Spencer Turnbull, so he can play. They gave him $4 million to either come out of the bullpen or as a long man, or perhaps he can spot start. He used to play with the Nationals, much better as a reliever than a starter. So we'll see. And then they signed these other pitchers here. Gulo, Zuniga, Nabil Chrismat, and Joel Kunel. So they're all pitchers, bullpen guys, depth. This is just crap. You throw at a wall, and maybe these guys get called up to either hop into the bullpen as in, whatchamacallit guy, shit. I can't. The guy. Can't find the words. The guy they send in when you're getting smoked 8-0, you put that guy in. Whoever the hell that guy is, you guys know. But that's who these guys are. And maybe there's, a pitcher gets hurt, is on the IL, the IR, and you call one of these guys up for a spot start or something like that. So I'm all for it. You throw as much crap, throw these $1 million, $2 million deals at players, and you might get lucky, like you might get Spencer Turnbull. You also might get Taijuan Walker, but you're not going to be throwing a lot of money. Phillies also are up against it on the payroll. They have currently If the season were to start now, their Phillies payroll would be $307.6 million. And that's for luxury tax purposes, pushing them $6 million beyond that threshold of 301. So the Phillies may still be trying to shed some payroll. They currently have the second highest payroll in baseball, but a lot of it would be tax penalties, 47.5 million. Look, nobody likes to nobody likes to pay taxes, especially rich people. And it always seems like the Phillies, I get it. We're not LA, we're not New York, but we're pretty damn close. But I see if they're trying to shed some payroll. I get it. We're not going to sign any more big name free agents. So my hopes of Alex Bregman are out the window. Anthony Santander, I don't think we're going to get him unless, you're able to move a Nick Castellanos. But, Santander for Castellanos, what's the difference there? 15 home runs? What are you doing there? Neither guy's an on-base machine. So I think what you see is what you got with these guys. I think Jesus Luzardo, Max Kepler, and Jordan Romano are your additions. Everybody else is going to be spring training invites. And those guys I just mentioned, Zania, Krismat, Kunel, Joe Ross. That's going to be your team. And you know what? I like it better. I certainly like it better than last year, where it was just Whit Merrifield. And then at the deadline, you got Charlie Sheen. So other than that, that's it. And Steve's saying he's seen full repairs heal in 4 weeks and rehab in 8 additional weeks, but they are more exceptions than the rule. Barbara saying, get rid of the beard. Get rid of Brandon Marsh. Man, you know what? It's because of the beard. I got too many shirts of Brandon Marsh. I don't want him to trade him yet. I think it's I think what you're going to see, Barbara, I think you're going to see Max Kepler in left field. I think you're going to see Rojas and Marsh platoon in center, and you got Nick Castellanos in right field. I think that's going to be your outfield. So whether that's good or not, it's better than it was last year because your left field was essentially Whit Merrifield, and he sucked. Runs like Whit, hits like shit. Biggest variable in full repairs are how long the meniscus itself heals before full weight bearing rehab can start. Yeah, and when we're talking big, tall basketball players, it's very important there. Yeah, Barbara. You know what? I wonder if we've been swindled there by Middleton, John Middleton. Where's the stupid money from Middleton? He's running back the same team. That isn't good enough. Yeah, I don't think they're not going to spend anymore. I don't see it. I really don't. And Steve, you bring up a good point. He says to me, Stott having a healed elbow is like a signing. Sounds dumb, but the impact is similar. Yeah, I mean, they said he played last year with a really messed up elbow, right? It was like shredded pulled pork. So I don't know. We'll see. If Stott plays better, so if Stott plays like he did 2 years ago as opposed to last year, that will be a much added improvement from him, and maybe that could help. And we got Justin Crawford should be in the center field mix. Aiden Miller could start at third if Alec Boehm is gone or gets hurt. Here's the problem. The Phillies said that they're not going to trade Alec Boehm. And translation is nobody wants Alec Boehm because Alec Boehm stinks. He doesn't stink, but I think the Phillies have valued Boehm way more than the rest of Major League Baseball. I don't think they look at Boehm as a guy that they're going to trade George Kirby for. The other Seattle Mariners pitcher, Logan Gilbert. You're not going to get those type of players. You're not going to get the other guy on Seattle too, Luis Castillo. There's no way you're getting those guys for Alec Boehm. No chance. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up here. But before I do that, let me show you the lineup here for Clear the Ice. Is this accurate? I think it is. Yeah, it is. Tuesday, tomorrow, Matty B, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, Matty B's going. Thursday night, I got Vegas Knights. And then Sunday, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yep. So make sure you check that out. And any excuses brought up today were brought to you by Big Al's Excuse Emporium. Established 2024, Big Al brings excuses to all 4 major sports in the Philadelphia area. Shout out Matty B. Final word with Matty B. Sunday through Thursday, 9 p.m. And make sure you tune in to the Birds Flyby Eagles post-game show. We'll have one more in the regular season next week against the New York Giants. And maybe we'll have some good things, really cool things to talk about. So looking forward to that. Steve, I thought he was your guy, man. Aiden Miller. I don't like Aiden Miller a little bit. He is my least favorite word. He is my least favorite word, potential. Oh, man, I like Aiden Miller, man. I know, you know what? But I will say this. I would have traded Aiden Miller for the right deal. I would trade Justin Crawford for the right deal. I would trade any prospect for the right player. Not any player, the right player. All right, everybody, make sure you throw up a like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate the love. Zal sponsoring the show with his Emporium revenue. It's going to be happening soon, guys. Buddy Kennedy is your guy. That's right. You get bricked up for Kennedy. Kennedy. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. Hope you're having a great holiday. Hope some of you guys have off if you're working. Well, at least I hope you have off on New Year's Day. But if you still have to work, let's all hope that 2024 isn't as good as 2025. So with that, everybody, have a great holiday. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next time. Take care, everyone. Peace.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I'm so. Everybody know I'm you know when they click through. Try to send this about to be a show, be fine.